I'm Kim Purcell. Welcome to the Busy Writer Workshop. How do you build a scene from the beginning through to the middle to the end? You want to start off your book and each chapter with a hook. So that means you pull in the reader, they're wondering something, or they're shocked, or something makes them want to keep reading. Would your beginning couple lines make you want to keep reading? Be very intentional about where you start your scene and make sure that it could have a lot of tension in it. Today we're going to look at Scythe by Neal Schusterman. The Scythe arrived late on a cold November afternoon. Scythe was at the dining room table slaving over a particularly difficult algebra problem. We got a hook right away. We are wondering, what is a scythe? And then the scythe matched with algebra problems, so we're curious. In the next paragraph, we learn, oh yes, it's danger. Guests were frequent at the Terranova's apartment, so when the doorbell rang, there was no sense of foreboding, no dimming of the sun, no foreshadowing of the arrival of death at their door. Perhaps the universe should have deigned to provide such warnings, but scythes were no more supernatural than tax collectors in the grand scheme of things. They showed up, did their unpleasant business, and were gone. In this second paragraph, we also learn a little bit more about the world. That scythes are so common, they're like tax collectors, except they bring death. As you move along, describe some of the characters in the scene. He pulled off his hood to reveal neatly cut gray hair, a mournful face, red-cheeked from the chilly day, and dark eyes that seem themselves almost to be weapons. Another huge element of every scene is the desire line. What does the character want and what do all the other people want? This is so important for subtext in dialogue. What is underneath everything they're saying? Usually it has something to do with their opposing desires. If you don't know what they want, it'll just sort of be meandering all over the place. You'll get bored, the reader will get bored. So you need to think about what they want, and then your scene will have a kind of focus that it needs. Let's look at the desire line and where it's shown in Scythe. Stood, not out of respect, but out of fear, shock. She tried not to hyperventilate. She tried not to let her knees buckle beneath her. They were betraying her by wobbling. So she forced fortitude to her legs, tightening her muscles. Whatever the scythe's purpose here, he would not see her crumble. So we have desire line. He wants to come in the house. Scythe and her mom do not want him to come in the house. Scythe also does not want him to see that she's afraid. Now we hit the obstacles. Every scene needs to have obstacles. Very important. Your character wants something, something's going to stop them, or someone is going to stop them. The scythe sits down and has dinner with the family. The mom and dad are totally nervous. Scythe is getting slowly more and more angry. And so then this happens. Scythe was well known for her temper. It often arrived before reason and left only after the damage was done. Tonight would be no exception. Why are you doing this? If you're here to glean one of us, just get it over with and stop torturing us. Her mother gasped, and her father pushed back his chair as if ready to get up and physically remove her from the room. Scythe, what are you doing? Now her mother's voice was quivering. Show respect. Throughout your scene, your character might shift what they want based on their personality. In this case, Scythe's basically just said, get it over with. We see Scythe's desire line has changed from not wanting him to see that she's afraid to being outright aggressive and being like, do it. Just do it. And I relate to that. She's got a fiery temper. We learned so much about her. So remember, as the scene goes along, you're showing who your characters are through what they do, what they say, what they think, how they act, how they react. This is what happens. Then he went to the kitchen and grabbed the largest, sharpest knife he could find. He swished it back and forth, getting a feel for how it cut through the air. Scythe was ready to throw herself in front of her to block the blade. Now we see desire line change. When he looks like he's going to get it over with, she's like, no, don't kill my mom. All right, so now the tension builds. We don't know what the scythe is going to do. Throughout every single line, we should be wondering things. Those are called scene questions, where you're planting questions in the reader's mind, and then you answer it, and then you pose another question. If we're not wondering anything, we shut the book, and we may not come back. Before he left, he turned to Scythe. You see through the facades of the world, Scythe Terranova. You'd make a good scythe. Scythe recoiled. I'd never want to be one. That, he said, is the first requirement. Then he left to kill their neighbor. Okay, so we get the ending. It's a cliffhanger because he's going to go kill the neighbor, but it's a bigger cliffhanger because he's just implied that Scythe might be a scythe, which would be a horrific thing for her. I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of all the key components you need in a scene in terms of setting, characters, dialogue, desire line, obstacles, tension, and finally your cliffhanger. Good luck, and thanks for joining me for the Busy Writer Workshop. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.